everyone, it's Strawberri Arena and I'm finally back with another video. It's been a while again because my laptop decided to die on me while I was on vacation, and it was super inconvenient because I had to send the laptop back to Dell to see if they could fix it, and they were going to get a new part for the motherboard, but it didn't come in, and they were like, okay, we're gonna hold it until it comes in. So I just invested in a new desktop, and that was the best decision ever. I have the laptop back now, so I'm just going to go ahead and sell it because it's pretty much useless to me now, and I'm really mad that it broke because I did invest a good amount of money into it because I thought I was going to need it for school, and then I wanted something to play video games on, and then I also wanted something to make videos and edit with, and it just wasn't that system for me. I think it's like too much to handle on a laptop, so maybe that's part of the reason why the motherboard broke, but we're just going to move forward, and I'm ready to get into what I read during March. So let's get into the video. The first book that I have is actually one that I haven't finished yet because it is so dense and very long, and I just took it on vacation with me because it is so small and compact, and I just wanted to make even the tiniest dent in it, and that is The Once and Future King by T.H. White. How small and compact this book is, and I love that it's a paperback because it's so easy to take with you on trips. I don't know, I'm a really big fan of paperbacks, more so than hardcover books, because there's just something about taking a book in bed and reading it and having it hardcover, and it's like kind of poking you and stuff. But with paperbacks, they're so flimsy and like flexible. I really like paperbacks. I don't know, maybe that's something I stand alone in. I know it's not, because some people make unpopular opinions about paperbacks and you just see a whole slew of people defending them. So I am one of the paperbacks people. I kind of went on a little tangent, but if you don't know what this book is about, it's about King Arthur and Excalibur, the Knights of the Round Table, and Camelot. This is just your classic high fantasy book, and it's very popular. I mean, I don't know if you don't know who King Arthur is, but I think it's a pretty popular story. It's really amazing though. I really love this book, and it gives me memories of my childhood because I did read this when I was maybe like in middle school or early high school, but it intimidated me because it was so dense and so big. So I don't know if I actually finished it. I just have very clear memories of the beginning, and being reminded of that beginning is just so, like, I think my favorite part is when King Arthur meets Merlin for the first time. That is the most magical scene that I think exists ever, and I love it so much. There's like this there's this description of this teapot, and I think it's just so cute and adorable, and it gives you kind of like Beauty and the Beast vibes with the whole moving silverware and utensils. Like, I don't know, I don't want to give too much away because it is just such a magical moment, but yeah, I don't know, just please read this if you can. I know it's pretty intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's really dense. There's about 700 pages, and I'm on page 120. I used to read this going to class too, so I've only made like a small dent in this after like maybe 2 to 3 weeks of solid reading. Oh my god. But anyways, that is this book. The next book that I have is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and you can really tell that she wrote this and uprooted. Her writing style is one that, I don't know, I feel like I'd be able to distinguish from other writers. I really enjoy her writing style. I also don't know if I like this more than Uprooted. I think I like them about the same, and I loved that book. Just check out my other video if you want to know my opinions on that one. I like this one because of Miriam mostly. Miriam is a goddess. She's my favorite character, and I love her interactions with the Starret King. I think that the plot and the world were just so well described, and you really had a feel for where you were. And I think the only criticism I have have, or I don't even know if it's a criticism, I think it's just something I would have enjoyed personally, is if they explained the magic in it a little bit more, how it worked and why it happened, I guess. But I think that's also what makes it so magical and fairy tale like, because it's like you're reading an adult fairy tale pretty much. And I think that the mystery really adds to that aspect of the story. So I'm not mad about it. I really would have wished that it had some kind of explanation as to why these things happen, but also it's magic. And magic is kind of unexplainable in itself. I don't know. That's really whatever. That's just me being me. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend this book if you enjoy fairy tale fantastical stories. I also like to add that they had 2 other very strong female characters, and I love them as well, but Miriam was she was just amazing. I love Miriam so much. I love everything she stands for. I would probably do everything that she did. I think she was the most reasonable and made the most sense out of everybody. The other queen, she was really smart, but I don't know, some of her values, I guess, which developed a little bit later, or how she expressed them, was something that I didn't really go along well with. And then I forget the name of the other character. She was really cool too, but I just connected really well with Miriam the most. The third book that I have is Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, and I just hope that I am saying that right, because this name is just, I don't know if I'm saying that name right at all. But I really love this book, and I read it because of the HBO series. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend that too, along with the book, because I rated this a 5 stars, and then the series I've watched I think 3 times. It aired a couple years ago now, and it's so beautiful. It takes place in Monterey, but this I believe is an Australian setting. So there's like a little differentiation in the word choice used between this and the TV series. And then there's also a couple of add-ons in the series, but you wouldn't be missing anything if you chose one over the other, because they're pretty much the same. All of the big events are the same and have like the same context and dialogue. So if you want to read one over the other, it really doesn't matter. This book is actually about a murder, and you know nothing about it except for these few moments where you have the detective interrogating a few people or just gaining information on the events that led up to it. So the show is pretty much that, plus the flashbacks where it goes from the very beginning and then works its way up towards the murder. The main characters are pretty much the moms, and it's about how they interact with each other and the drama behind it, because they all have kids going to this elementary school. They're all in kindergarten, and from what I know from my aunt as well, kindergarten is a really big deal, or just like kids going to school in general is a really big deal to moms, and there's a lot of them that are super involved in their child's lives, and it just goes into that drama. It's very funny, and also I think it does like say a lot of truths about how mothers feel toward their children and that they just want the best for them, and then there are other moms who also want the best for them, and it just clashes. They just all clash with each other because they all want the same thing, and sometimes those conflict with each other for some reason or another, because kids are just kids. They want to do what they want to do for the most part. So this book is mainly about relationships, so mother and child, mother and father, child and parents, and then mothers and other mothers, dads and other dads, couples and other couples. It's very interesting. It does touch on a very big subject, which is domestic violence, so trigger warning for that, because the details do get a bit graphic in the book, and also more so in this TV series because you're seeing it, and there are scenes that are really hard to watch, and just really big warning for you if you are sensitive to that kind of thing. It goes into how the victim will justify staying in the relationship, but then slowly working their way towards recovering and trying to get out of it. And I think this book really touches on that very well. And I would highly suggest it just overall because the plot's amazing, The scenes are very well thought out and the writing is really good. I would definitely recommend this book to somebody who's looking for something a little bit more dramatic. The last book that I have is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This book was recommended to me by my mom, and it's no surprise that I rated this 5 stars because she just gives the best recommendations, except for Little Women, which is pretty terrible. But this book was really, really amazing, and I have a favorite line from this book, and I want to read it. It says, quite simply, while the others were going carelessly all about, she watched them with her 4 senses so that they never took her by surprise. And after some time, she discovered that every member of the family, without realizing it, repeated the same path every day, the same actions, and almost repeated the same words at the same hour. Only when they deviated from meticulous routine did they run the risk of losing something. This book really made me realize how often we all get into patterns and we all do the same thing sometimes until something happens where we might diverge a little bit, but we usually snap back to what we were doing before. And it goes into the patterns that the family falls into. With each generation, each one will do the same that the last one did, or kind of have the same personality traits as their previous family member did. It's very interesting and I really love this book, and I don't like the criticisms that people have for it. I read some of them on Goodreads and I saw that one person said that it reads like a history textbook, and I thoroughly disagree with that. It might be the history of the family, but it's far more entertaining than a textbook because I personally don't really like history, but this was so amazing to read. It did take me a long time because it took me a little bit to kind of digest the way that it was written and how packed with information about each family member, and all of them have like the same names. It was a little bit confusing. I don't even know if I really have the events attached to the correct person right, because they keep going back and forth between one person with the name and then the other person with the same name. It's a little confusing, or not even a little, it's really confusing. My mom said that I should write a spreadsheet for each event associated with each person, but that's just too much work, so I just read along. The other criticism was that if you enjoyed this book, you were probably a really lonely person, and that just hit me really hard, and I felt personally attacked because, you know what, I am kind of lonely. I'm not ashamed of that, but don't attack me for liking this book because I'm lonely. It just hurt me. But I really love this book and I would highly suggest it if you're into classical reading, because I can tell that not everybody's going to like this, and I wasn't surprised by the criticisms because I don't know, this was a special type of book, and the ending was so surreal. I loved the ending because it kind of hit you out of nowhere, because it's a little bit fantastical at some points, but the end truly expressed like how magical it was. I have no other words for that ending. I don't know how to describe it to my best ability besides saying it was surreal and magical, and I feel like that's not sufficient enough. But yeah, really love this book. Now we're at the end of the video. I just want to thank you guys for watching and sticking around here while I work with my technical issues, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!